So we are starting with the Java assignment. So here they're asking me, do I have a customer class with a public string field name? What would you write in a main method to create a customer instance and set its name to Pinky? So I would take customer C1 new customer, then we say C1 name is equals to Pinky. Let me see these things, because you need to declare the variable first. So I'll go with the first one. Then the second one, they say you are encapsulating the clothing class price field by writing a set price method. The price field must always be set above certain minimum. How would you implement this method? I would say, let's see, I would take this one. Then they say you've set up a clothing class with a has a public double field price. You've created two instances in your program's main method. Where would item 1 and is the jacket, item 2 is a shirt. You've also created a double for a text rate in the main method. How would you accurately calculate the aft? I would take the double total here. I would take this double total, not the int now. Then they say you're given clothing item new clothing blue jacket 20.9 public void clothing string size double price public clothing string description double price. I would say string size. Given public customer string name int measurement, how would you instantiate a customer object using this constructor? I would take let's see. I would take this one. What exception occurs when you try adding an 11th employee to the department? Arithmetic exceptions, array out of indexes, or what you call it, null point exception. I would take, because it's an array, I would take array index out of bounds exception. And then, which is a valid print statement? System print out in welcome to Duke's Choice Shop. System print out in system out print in. I'll take this one. You've encapsulated the customer class size. The related set size method requires an integer argument. This argument is translated into a string, which is used to set the class size string field. You instantiate a customer C1 in the main method, which is written in another class. How should you set the size of customer C1 from the main method? I would set the size to, let's see, the size related to the method requires an integer. The argument is translated into a string, which is used to set the class's size. You instantiate customer C1 in the main method, which is written in another class. How would you set the size? Let's just guess it's this one. According to the course, what library would you add to your project so that it can be deployed on the Oracle Cloud? I would say Mastodon, Helium, Mastodon. Let's take Halidon. How would you declare the main price field of the clothing class? The value of this field should never change, right? Accessing this field should not require you to create a clothing instance. Public static double what you call it, double final double main price. Yeah, we're setting it forever, so I go with the word final. It must be final. this one. You have an array of clothing objects called items. The clothing class has a public fields for size and price. You create a loop to calculate the total price of items. How would you add an if statement to ensure an item is only added to the total if it's the same size as customer C1? Assume the customer has a public string field size. I would say, let's see, I can't put C1 in just one bracket. It must be the size also. So I would take for clothing C items. If C size equal to C1 at total. For clothing C items, yeah, I would take this one. For clothing C items, if items size equal to C size, nah, I definitely take this one because C1 can only be in one what you call it, open parentheses, and we definitely can say equals to C is equals to C1. There's no size here, it doesn't show, so I say confirm. You've overwritten the toString method in the clothing class. From which class does this method originate? We know that a class inherits from an object, so we're gonna take what? Maybe object, customer, comparable, shop app. We're not talking about a shop app here, and it's not relatable to the class. Comparable, we're not talking about the object, so we take object. A customer contains an encapsulated array of clothing items. How would you write a getItem method in the customer class to return these items? Public clothing getItems, return public clothing getItems, open parentheses, public void getItems. Nah, not this one. Public void getItems. Nah. We first have to open an array, so I would go with the first one because it starts with an array and then open parentheses, then returns the object. Let's say confirm. How would you loop through the clothing array items to calculate the total price of all items after tax? The clothing class has a public double field price. Assume the double what is this? Assume the double variables total and tax are already declared. For clothing C, price 1 plus tax. For clothing C, total plus C price times 1 plus tax. For clothing C, total. Now they say calculate the total price, right? We're calculating the total price of all items after tax. The clothing class has public double field prices, so let's see. We take the double one. Yeah, here is double total plus C price times 1 plus tax. I would go with this one. How would you create a customer class with a string field name? Public class customer name string, public class customer string name, public class customer string name. The thing is, this thing and this thing are the same, so it's confusing. Let's go with this one. Here I don't know what they're doing. Let's go with this one. You've created a clothing class along with two instances, item 1 and item 2. How would you create a clothing array to store the two items? Clothing items, item 1 and 2, clothing items, item 1 and 2, clothing, open array, items, and then curly brackets, item 1 and 2. These ones are a bit tricky. Between these two, I think between these two I must choose one. How would we declare it? How would you create a clothing array? We know we're dealing with an array, so of course the first thing that should be there is an open brackets array. and then we declaring it, saying item 1 and 2. So let's go with this one, because here we declaring in a different method. Like, we're not declaring, actually just setting the class and saying clothing open array items, and then there's nothing here. Here we are declaring, we referring it. So I would go with this one. Which class implements to comparable interface? What method must also be implemented? I would say compare to or compare equals to string, because I see the word comparable. Between these two, I must choose one. So we're comparing something. We're comparing what an interface. When a class implements to comparable interface, what method must also be implemented? I would go with the first one, compare to. You have a customer class with a public string field size. In your program's main method, you create a customer C1. How would consolidate this switch statement, which is used in the set size? Let's see how they do it. Case 1. So first thing I notice is this C1 size S. Case 2, C1 size S. Case 3, C1 size S. So let's see how they do it. There's no commas here. Because I see this, I would choose the first one. You write a method to calculate the average price of clothing items. This method adds to the price of all items, then divides this value by the number of items. If there are no if there are no items, your method will attempt to divide by 0. So in Java, we divide by 0. What type of exception must you guard against in this situation? I would go with arithmetic. Yeah, arithmetic. If there are no items, the number of items is equal to 0. Yeah, I know the fact that with arithmetics the items are equal to 0. Here they're saying the method adds the price of all items, then this divides this value by a number of items. If there are no items, your method will attempt to 0. So I will go with, yeah, I would go with, it's either null point exception or arithmetic. Okay, you have a customer class with a public string field size. In your program's main method, you create a customer instance C1. What is printed as a result? Okay, case 1 C1, system out C1. See here they're confusing us. Print out C1. All of them are C1. So which one must I choose if it's like that? So it says what is printed as a result of running this code from the main method. Int measurement, they even give us a hint here. So we notice that we have different cases here. Case 3, case 6, case 9. I would go with case 3 because they're giving us a hint that the measurement int is equal to 3. So what will it be? It will be S, because it falls under case 3. So yeah, let's choose case 3. Confirm. Wow, I got 95%. Well done to me. Well done to me. Well done to me. I got 95%. Let's view our badge. This is my badge. Thank you.